Hey everybody, Deathblade here with a reaction to the Untamed. I'm up to Season 1, Episode 7. If you want to get right to the actual reaction, please check the timestamp link in the pinned comment below, because I'm going to do a very short introduction with kind of a little bit of vlog stuff because of what's been going on in my life. I just kind of want to provide a little bit of explanation. So for those of you who follow my channel, you might know that I have a new member of the Deathblade clan. We have a baby girl who we are calling Princess Deathblade, and she's super cute and awesome. Her brother loves her, and she is just a bundle of joy. That said, it has been tough, sleep deprivation and all that. As I mentioned in the previous reaction video, newborns actually are pretty easy to take care of, other than when they're up throughout the night crying. They don't really do much. They just kind of lay there, sleep most of the time, fill up their diaper, eat. But already she's now about 3 weeks old, and she is starting to develop her personality, and she has things she likes and doesn't like. And so already after only 3 weeks, things are starting to get a little bit tough for me in terms of finding the time to do reaction videos like this. I've come to find that it's best for me to do them during the day. By the time it's evening, I am just too wiped out to really be effective. And that means that I have to find time in my normal working schedule to do this. Because my wife, Madam Deathblade, is still kind of recovering from giving birth, I am doing a lot of stuff. I am, making breakfast for baby Deathblade. Now, baby Deathblade is my 4-year-old. We're going to have to change his name pretty soon. But I have to make breakfast for him, take him to school, pick him up from school, put him to sleep at night. So just a lot of different things that I'm running around doing. I also have to point out that Tencent has been demonetizing some of these videos. Also, I have a problem with my YouTube account in general, because when I created it, I was back in China. Without getting into too much details, it just kind of caused some behind the scenes mess ups in terms of the monetization. So if you do like this kind of content and you're able to, you can support the channel by means of the links in the description below. Please do check that out. Okay, enough jabbering. I am now going to get on with reacting to the Untamed Season 1, Episode 7. And as usual, I am not providing ooh and ah reactions. I am mostly looking at it from the perspective of a translator and someone who's familiar with Chinese culture. And again, this is the Netflix version, which apparently there are better subtitles out there. So I'll try not to go into too much detail about the subtitles, but I may talk about that to some extent. And I do know about the animated version. I do know about the translated novel version. But for now, I'm going to be sticking with the Untamed on Netflix. And let's see what happens. Episode 7.
在下为无限，虽然从小被姜氏收养，但是藏色散人是我的家母，抱山散人。
This is interesting because I have a video talking about the sect and the clan, and generally speaking, a sect is an organization of people who are united around some sort of cause or technique or place or something, but they might not necessarily be related. And a clan usually are people who are related. So one of the things I was curious about was the fact that Wuxia is with the Jiang clan. And I was like, wait a second, how is that possible? He has a different surname. I even asked my wife about it because I was like, could you check in Chinese? I don't really feel like searching in Chinese. What's the deal with that? Why is he part of the Jiang clan when his surname is different? And then she gave me the spoilers that he's adopted. And that makes perfect sense, because normally speaking, somebody who is part of a clan would have the same surname as everybody else. That's kind of the point of a clan. I'm not sure if that's a common thing in the show. I do ask a lot of questions in my videos. So if you're familiar with the show, is this a common thing? Are there oftentimes people with different surnames that are attached to a certain clan? Or is it kind of more of a rarity? I'm curious about that. Grievance. Let me double check here. Yeah. So what is being translated here as a grievance here is Yuanqi. You can see that right here, Yuanqi. Now, if you look it up in the dictionary, the top definition is grievance. And in the general sense, that's what it means. But in these fantasy novels and the Xianxia cultivation novels, a lot of the times when you see stuff that has this character qi, it's more than the dictionary definition, because qi is like qi energy. And a lot of times there will be words that are in the dictionary as common words in the Chinese language that are sort of a little bit more complicated in the fantasy setting. Usually it's actually some sort of energy. So earlier she said the grievance had sunk into the water or something. So what she's saying is that the grievous energy or something, the grievous qi, the angry qi or whatever, had infected the water. And she's talking about that thing lingering on here. So I personally usually will translate this as some sort of energy. It depends on the context, it depends on the novel. But yeah, a lot of times the Xianxia novels turn what are essentially abstract concepts into actual corporeal, or at least illusory, or in some sense real forces or energies.
等等， 你们二人没语言。
So what she's saying, what is being translated as eyebrows here? Sorry, she said between your eyebrows, right? Uses a kind of a unique term here, and it's, you can see here it's mei yu jian. Now, if you take out the yu and you put mei jian, it's very specifically talking about this area right here. But mei yu is actually another word that refers to the forehead, and when you add, normally it's not mei yu jian, it's mei yu zhi jian. I'm not sure if she actually said it and they just left it out of the subtitles, but it's also referring to the forehead. And whether it's just mei jian or mei yu jian or mei yu zhi jian, I tend to see it being used to refer to the forehead right here. A lot of times in the novels and TV shows, they'll have like some kind of symbol here. In the novels, it will usually say it's in the meijian, at least the ones I've translated, which technically is right here, but almost always you will see it right here, or maybe just in the forehead in general. This is where their sea of consciousness is, as opposed to their sea of energy, which is Dantian region down here. It's not a hard and fast rule, but I've seen it in a lot of the novels to where they have those two different distinctions. But essentially, your consciousness here and your energy reserves down here. And so usually when there's something up here, it's related to something connected to your mind or something. Again, not a hard and fast rule, but that's what I've seen it as.
我却无法如实相告。哟，知己啊！
My confidant in Chinese is 知己. 知己 is basically a word for a very close friend or a bosom buddy, you might say. I don't know why they translated it as confidant.
Xianxia，仙都，仙都请放心，我对阴铁不感兴趣。再说，我只是个小小的修士，又怎么逃得过仙都的手掌心呢？
父亲，你怎么能答应那个小混混去？
Somebody commented in one of my reaction videos before that they thought it was really bad acting and not realistic. To me, that comes across as somebody who doesn't really know much about Chinese people, Chinese culture, or whatnot, because Chinese people just act differently, express emotions differently. It's very different from Western culture. So the way that the characters act, in my personal opinion, comes across as being acting, but it's pretty realistic. I actually like these two guys a lot. The one guy that just walked off seems like a real psycho, and this guy seems typical, just super arrogant young master kind of character. The kinds of characters that I see in these TV shows and novels, I have seen reflections of them in real life in China. Obviously not exactly the same, but very similar. I have seen people act just as arrogant as the most arrogant young master. Of course, crazy people are different, but the point is just, I really do not feel that the overacting that people complain about is overacting when it comes to Chinese culture and how the Chinese language work and how Chinese people act and think.
温圣女祈求上苍，保佑弟弟阿离一生平安无忧。
魏无羡能够一生锄奸扶弱，无愧于心。
So I think maybe this might come across as a little strange to Westerners, because usually in Western culture, when you make a wish, you don't tell anybody. At least that's kind of like, I feel like a common way to do it. I'm actually not super familiar with this whole paper lantern thing. I have done it in China a few times. Usually when I was in China, they would write the wishes on the outside of the lamp, as opposed to like saying them out loud. I'm not sure if that's a cultural thing that I just never experienced, or if they're doing that specifically for this show to make it more dramatic or something. But the point is just, it's not as though those wishes were like secret the way they would be like in a birthday party or, you know, wish upon a star kind of thing, where you keep that wish a secret, otherwise it won't come true.
不必再提4个字，很难理解吗？
Okay, this editing is really weird. Why was it literally just daytime? They were facing off, and then it must have been hours past. Were they just staring at each other the whole time or something? It's the same path, right? Did I miss something?
别拦住我！你过来呀！打死你！别拦住我！来呀！废物！别拦我！
阿羡，阿羡，
据说是金子轩看不起江小姐，要和她退婚。
Okay, first of all, break the troth. I mean, seriously, who translated this? But anyway, the idea of a betrothal or an engagement being broken is, I think, a lot more of a serious thing in Chinese culture than it is in Western culture. The same thing happened in one of my novels that I translated, I Shall Seal the Heavens, where the main character was had an arranged marriage, and then he broke that engagement and kind of ran, and it was like a really, really big deal. So kind of a similar thing here. It's almost like they're already married, even though they haven't formally been married, but it's a really serious thing if an engagement is broken.
蓝忘机那么讨厌你，你干嘛老去招惹人家？怎么，同窗半载，我还不能去道个歉？
So I feel like this is a big fault with the editing. I had no idea half a year had gone by, unless I just missed something. But man, I didn't see anything that seemed to indicate that much time went by. Okay.
姐啊，你那么欠揍，不会是一个人去找阴铁了吧？
So I didn't have too much to say for probably the last half of the episode. There were a ton of things I noticed in little quibbly things with the translation. Again, as I get further and further into this show, I am liking the translation less and less. I feel like it was better for the first couple episodes. I wonder if the translator or translation team spent more effort on that. But there's just so much stuff that's like being left out or changed a little bit or tweaked. And of course, the titles are just totally off. In general, digging the story, I feel like it's going back and forth between episodes with cool action moving the plot along, and then like the next episode is like a reaction to that real cool episode, explaining things, not much happens, and the episode after that cool stuff happens, and then following episode reaction sort of. So this one seemed a lot more slow to me. I'm waiting to see how the plot picks up. I've been thinking recently that there are a lot of episodes to this show. There are 50 episodes. I'm only on 7. I'm going to try to see if I can somehow pick up the pace and do more reactions than I've been doing. But again, I do have that newborn in the house, so I'm not sure I'll be able to do that. So that's it for this reaction. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below in terms of the things I said and maybe stuff that I missed, questions you had or observations you had. And I will see you next time. Gaotsula.